Welcome, lovely one, to the Meant for More podcast. My name's Lisa Clifford, and I am building the world's most empowering Meant for More movement, leading millions of heart-led purpose seekers from feeling insignificant to invincible. So I truly hope you enjoy this next episode. And welcome Angela Kennedy to the podcast. I met Angela in August this year, 2025. She was training to be a Firewalk and empowerment instructor. She'd flown all the way from Pittsburgh, America, to do the training. And when I met Angela, there was just something so magnetic about her. It was an ease. Her presence was just almost magical. And we became friends. She, in Pittsburgh, runs groups for women and men, and I will call her a medicine woman. She may or may not call herself that, but my perspective of her, my feeling of her, is that she's a medicine woman. And she has a fascinating business, which is a flower farm. And she has a very special way of deciding which flowers will attend which wedding. So stay tuned to hear what her Meant for More moment was. You may have a little inkling from the title, but I hope you enjoy listening to this conversation as much as I enjoyed having it. Angela.
Hi, Lisa.
And Lexi. Some of you will hear the added little woof, and that's Lexi that decided was absolutely joining our conversation with my beloved friend Angela. And I would love to start with the question that I think really gets us to know someone and where they are in life and where that leads us to, which is a time in your life where you had that stirring and that feeling that you knew you were meant for more. Did you listen to it and did you take action, and where did it lead you to, my lovely?
Yeah, thank you for this question. I like it so much. I've been thinking so much about it. I feel like there are two really distinct kind of layers to this. One was that when I was younger, I always had this feeling that I was like too big for the town that I grew up in. I grew up in a really small town about an hour north of the closest city. And I just never felt like I really fit there in this town. And I was constantly dreaming as a kid of going to all these places. Now, I don't know if that's because I'm a Sagittarius or if it was because I just felt so like constrained, but that was kind of a predominant theme through my childhood. The turning point, though, for me came in 2017 when I fell on ice and broke my leg.
Wow. So
Yeah.
something happened. Yeah. Right. Tell me more.
Yeah, I was walking outside and I just remember falling down to the ground and somehow, like, while I was screaming for help because I was on the street alone and I was like writhing in pain, I had such a clear thought that my life needed to change. And so that for me was a real defining moment in my adulthood of like, I need to focus on a purpose that feels greater than my sense of self. And that was what was going to keep me moving forward in life.
What was your life like at that time when you hit the ice?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So I was just coming out of a really traumatizing relationship that was kind of cloaked with infidelity and people just not being honest and like people living parallel lives and a lot of secrecy from my partner, and it was just devastating for me.
Gosh, yeah.
when I found out that he kind of had this whole other world going on. And I was also in a job that just felt kind of soul crushing. My finances were kind of in the drain. I was like Airbnb my personal home just to kind of keep my life afloat. And I was like crashing on friends' couches. So
Wow.
it was kind of a mess. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you hit the ice. So you were in that experience of separated from your partner
Yes. Yeah.
and therefore um in that transition, and then you break your leg,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
makes life even more difficult because it was already that is difficult living in that really agile way, isn't it? And so life became even more difficult. And it was in that moment that you thought something's got to change. I've got to do something more meaningful.
Yeah, there was so much kind of kinetic movement, but nothing was really gaining any traction in terms of like significant change. And I think the leg break, I joke with people that it was my big break in terms of
Yeah.
like,
Oh, we might be getting the title brewing as we speak. My big break. Carry on.
and the interesting thing part of this whole kind of journey probably rewinds about 10 years earlier with me finding plant medicine and joining the Native American church and just spending like almost a decade working on just like relationship issues that I had when I was a kid with my parents. Because I remember breaking my leg and just feeling like, I didn't want my mom to come to the emergency room. And then I instantly moved in with her for 6 months. She, like, became my caretaker again after her and I having a really challenging relationship as adults. And so all of that work that I was doing in the background, really trying to just figure out how to overcome some of these, like, childhood, I'll call them traumas, but really I see my role in them, so I'm not
A
placing the
victim.
onus
Yeah.
fully on her.
Yeah.
They were they were standing in the way of me developing healthy adult relationships, and I think the relationship I was leaving was a symbol of that. And so I kind of needed something to force me to be still so that I could heal that relationship with my mom and close that door.
Wow. Wow. So the break helped with the break in your relationship with your mum. So in healing the leg, the opportunity to heal the leg was the opportunity to heal your relationship with your mum that then led on to what transpiring in your life as a result of all that healing that you did.
Yeah, so there were a couple of things that really came out of my time learning how to walk again because I was non-weight bearing and I had a bunch of hardware in my leg. So I was on bed rest, couldn't put any weight on my right leg for 4 months. And then it took me 2 months to learn how to walk again.
Which part of your leg did you break?
I broke my tibia and my fibia in
Oh,
my right
right leg.
leg.
Me too.
No way.
And I've got hardware in it.
No way.
And I didn't have an epiphany at that time, but one has come into place as a result of it. But anyway, it just seemed just too, for me not to, I don't want to make it about me, but it was like, I know that pain.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like there were so many gifts in that time. One was I had never experienced what it was like in my life to wake up and not be expected to perform. And
Tell me
it was
more what you mean.
such so I've been really independent since I finished high school, probably even before that. I've been working since I was really young. I moved out of the house. Um, and had been supporting myself. since my late teens, and just really every day it was kind of this fight for survival. I had to wake up, go to work, get all the things done, put all the pieces in place, and I was in survival mode. When I broke my leg, I think, gosh, 2017, I don't even know how old I was then, maybe 34 or 35. I, for the first time, felt like what it meant to be a human being, just like somebody that exists. And what does it mean to live without making offerings that people approve of?
Yes.
So I was taking up space, but I wasn't really like offering anything. And I realized how much of my identity was intertwined with my work and how the community perceived me and how, like, that relationship, what that meant or what I thought that meant. And it was just incredible to just be, to just feel what it was like to be and actually spend time with myself. And one day just be like, you know what? I don't really like hanging out with you. I was talking to myself. And I was like, how do I become a person that I enjoy spending time with?
Oh, we need to just have a breath there so that people can soak that up, because how often do we busy ourselves because we're avoiding being with ourselves? And I know I've done it, I've been there. And but that just leads to burnout, really, doesn't it? That kind of distraction in the absence of being. And so how do I become the kind of person that I enjoy being with? Is that what you said?
Yeah, that I enjoy spending time with.
Time with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we all want to know. What did you do? What's the answer?
Yeah, I still feel like I'm discovering that, really. I realized that the career that I was in, I did interior design and new construction project management for a really long time. And there was something about like being willing to put myself in that victim role that no longer suited me. And when I want to say victim role, it just perfectly mirrored the situation that happened when I was a child, where there's a dominating kind of force and things aren't going my way. And I always think it's someone else's fault. So, construction, which is a very male dominated industry, and I'm like one of the only females in my whole town that does project management. That was like kind of the perfect flavor of spice that I needed to validate why my life wasn't working out.
Is
So I,
it, is it a bit like creating an environment that gives you a reason if your life isn't working out? Or I don't know. I don't really know where I'm going with the question.
yeah,
Did you create the environment that gave you that? Was that the driver? If my life isn't working out, I need a good, plausible reason.
yes, exactly. Exactly. And so this whole experience was really a journey of me learning how to take responsibility for the outcomes I was seeking and being okay with the things that I wanted. I've always felt like my life path was unusual and it wasn't okay. And it took me, it's still something I'm discovering and consistently having to um like integrate into my family relationships. But so I decided in that moment that I wasn't going to work in the corporate arena anymore. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but my life needed to be more earth based. I was ready to leave the city. I was ready to just literally get my hands in the dirt. And that's how I came to flower farming.
What did you know that your hands needed to be in the dirt? Was it a way that you'd been living already? How did you know? Tell me, how did you get to that?
So, yeah, I love this
Were you
question.
a child that ate the mud and played out in the soil all the time? I mean, how did you get there?
Yeah, I love this question so much because there is a Bible verse that says, when you raise your children in the kingdom of God, when they grow up, they will not depart. And I was raised a Christian child and I have left religion behind. But I realized that the kingdom of God for me was nature itself. I feel like my parents and my dad in particular did an incredible job of getting us out into the forest when we were children. If there was a beautiful day and the weather was perfect, my dad would like skip work, pull us out of school, and we would go just walk through the woods and pack a picnic and hang out by the lake. It was so wonderful. And for me, that ended up being my church. I found that connection with nature when I started um, sitting in the teepee and going to sweat lodges. And so that really reignited my path back to the plants. I went to school for herbalism, and later in life, after going to college in my younger years. And then when I broke my leg, it was the first time in my life that anyone was ever gifting me bouquets of flowers in my adult life. And because I was so sensitive to light and sound from the medication that I was on after my surgery, I would sit in a dim room and just stare at the flowers. And the irony is, the flower that caught the most attention from me was a ranuncula that was gifted to me from my godmother. And I didn't even know what the flower was. And I kind of went down this rabbit hole of trying to figure out what it was. And I discovered Florette, which is Erin. She's a really famous flower farmer in the United States. And I just started reading all of her blogs and her website. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, what a beautiful life. People grow flowers for a living. I want to do that. And it was somehow one of those passing thoughts because I still had like commitments in the design world that I had to fulfill, contracts where people already had paid me and there was moving parts and supplies being prepared. So I knew I had to fill those commitments. And then life happens. I met my husband and we got pregnant. And, it wasn't until years later where I actually had the time and space to start farming. And it was a part of my personal recovery from postpartum depression. It was like the one thing that was saving me. So even though I knew I had to get my hands in the dirt, it didn't happen until a few years later.
Hmm. And so then what happened once you started getting your hands in the dirt? Then what did you create?
So I now have a 1.5 acre flower farm. We grow flowers for the cut flower industry, but one of the most exciting parts of the farm is I just have like a little roadside stand where I make bouquets, and it's really probably the most emerging joy of the whole experience. Just because the feedback is immediate. It's people in my neighborhood and in my community. Like, I just had a phone call last night from an older gentleman who's in his late 70s and picked up one of my business cards and one of my bouquets of flowers. And he was like, I just wanted to let you know I stopped and got some of your flowers and they're so beautiful. And I've never seen flowers like this before. And yeah, so that's one aspect of it. But really, the most rewarding aspect of it is the chance to like expose this life, expose my son to this life, and be in the field with him. And just, I don't know, it feels like such a priceless experience to see him running through the rows of flowers as a baby with no clothes on.
Yeah.
It's like, these are
Yeah.
things you can't buy.
Yeah. Yeah.
these
That's what
moments.
you imagine heaven to be like, isn't it, though? Meadows of flowers and beauty and bees and butterflies and just running um, freely. You kind of, and then that's his life. Um, I know when we spoke, you spoke about the relationship that you have, the connection that you have, the respect that you have, and the love for the flowers in a way I'd never heard anybody speak of. And so, do you feel like you can just share that now and how you choose? Well, no,
Yeah.
how the selection is done. I'm not going to lead the question. How is the selection done? Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
You know where I'm going, don't you?
I do know where you're going with this. I get very often this comment that people feel bad buying cut flowers and having flowers in their home. Yeah, you said this to me, and this was how this you first heard this story. So I think like all like living beings, which plants are probably one of the most exquisite expressions of life energy. Like all living beings, we have come here and we just want to shine. We want to share our light with the world. And flowers are just so skilled at doing this. And each flower, each shape, each plant carries that like purpose and drive and its own medicine. And so when people hire me for weddings, um, I offer a service called Buckets of Blooms where I will go and cut the flowers for the wedding, and they do their own arrangements with their family members and their close friends. And when I walk out into my field, I will say something to the effect of like, tomorrow is Maggie and Dave's wedding. This is what I know about them. This is what I want to share, because the flowers and I communicate very clearly together. I can, you know, actually hear when I'm walking through the field what certain varieties are needing, but that's kind of a different topic. And so I'll look out over the field and say, this is what's happening. Who wants to go? Like, who's offering themselves? Like, this is your moment to really bring your medicine to a space and feed people's hearts. And as I walk through the field, I'm always so surprised which flowers are like, pick me, pick me. I want to do it. I'm like volunteering for these people for this event. And at the end of the day, once I cut all of the buckets and prepare them, I usually have a reflection as I'm waiting for the bride or the groom to come and pick them up. And I realized what it is their relationship is needing some support around. And so this is where my experience with herbal medicine and plant ceremonies and gardening kind of intersect. I can see which qualities the relationship is looking for in order to have a beautiful union together.
Are you able to share any examples? I mean, you can share without names if that's better.
Yeah, so one of
Mr. and
the
Mrs. Smith, that's always a
yeah,
really good one to go with.
yeah, so Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I realized that they were going to have trouble conceiving.
How did you realize that, if you don't mind me asking? Is it a sixth sense you've got? Or did they say,
Yeah, I literally look at the qualities of the flowers. So if they are flowers that are really prolific bloomers, like cut and come again, I know the focus of the union is going to be on fertility.
really? So
And
you
so,
know, just for the listener and the viewer, so how you know that they were going to be challenged conceiving, if I remembered that correctly,
yes,
is not by them, but by the flowers that have offered themselves.
yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
keep
they
going.
are bringing their energy of fertility and abundance to the union.
Love this.
So that is where like the plant is coming in to support the marriage. And so that was one piece of it. The other piece was is that some of the plants that offered themselves to go were hormone balancing plants, like medicinally. So I when I put two and two together, it was like, okay, there's a hormone imbalance and there's a really major focus on fertility. She is kind of desiring to start a family and, you know, I didn't know this. I got all of this from the flowers.
Yeah, this is what's so I'm so glad we're having this illuminating conversation because I am fascinated. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really so beautiful and I feel like the only reason why I am exposed to these things is because of my relationship with sacred plant medicines have shown me just how intelligent of creatures they are, how they all have their own kind of love language that they want to share, and they have all adapted to get our attention through their flower. And so the more time I've spent, there's this beautiful practice in the Shipibo um, tradition that before you go into a ayahuasca ceremony, you take a flower bath. And it's like a rebirthing practice. They put flowers and water and pour the water over your head. And you get the spirit and the energy of the plants to clean your own energy and your own spirit. And they refer to it sometimes as perfuming the heart. It's like sweetening
Mm.
up the energy of the heart. And so when you are kind of in the presence of ayahuasca or the medicine, you have been refreshed and she can relate to you in a kinship that normally she wouldn't be able to do because the energy of the flowers is in you inside your energy. Is that making sense?
The part that I might need clarity on is who is the she in this context?
Yeah, she is ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca.
Yes.
And just share with everybody what ayahuasca is and how it's used and because I know that you do things very sacredly. You're not a commercial person who sells tours. You are a heart-led medicine woman, is how I would describe you. Is that all right?
Yeah, thank you, Lisa.
Oh,
Thank
good.
you so much.
Um, so, and there's something really belonging about you, but I don't know how to put it into words because it's a feeling. So, just share what ayahuasca is and how it's used and its purpose and how it, yeah, how it's sacred.
Yeah. Ayahuasca is a plant brew that is used in South America for healing. It has psychedelic properties, but those properties can be either heightened or kind of played with. It's not a brew of one plant, it's actually a combination of multiple plants. So, not all of the experiences are psychedelic. I feel like nowadays, in terms of visuals, um, some curanderos or curanderas, which are uh, people that heal with plants, they can adjust the level of the brew to kind of meet this commercial interest that you're talking about, kind of the psychedelic explorers. But historically, when someone would go to a shaman for healing or a curandero, they actually wouldn't take the medicine. Only the shaman would take the medicine and would sing over the person that was seeking healing what they call icaros, which are channeled songs that come directly from the plants in the jungle. And the way they receive these songs is by doing what they call a dieta. And they go into isolation and they basically really diminish any consumption of food and sustenance, and they just consume the plant as either a tincture or a tea for an extended period of time until they are gifted in Ikaros. So they basically create a relationship with the plant that they're dieting. And throughout the course of that relationship, they see what the plant can be used for in terms of healing, what its capabilities are. And the plant gives them the song that ignites their healing ability in ceremony. So it's an extremely powerful practice, one that takes many years to really study and digest.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Oh, excuse me. No such thing as a coincidence.
Yeah. And so then the shamans carry these Ikaros, curanderas, and because shaman is usually kind of the term in other parts of the world, but the healer carries these songs. And when you're in ceremony, the participants now take ayahuasca, and there's a lot of reason for this. One, because as people that live in an urbanized society, we actually need to ingest the vibration of the plant because our life is it's a little bit more polluted than it has been in the past, where we're already in nature and we have sensitivity and we're communing with the plants and the animals very naturally. Since we're a little bit removed from that, it's part of the reason why people ingest the medicine now, as well as the shaman, because we need to actually get the vibration into our body of the energy of the plant for the shaman to connect with that vibration and for it to be effective. I know there are many healers that do it in the traditional way, but that's why it's more common that people take the medicine now.
Can I ask if you're comfortable sharing what people need to look out for when they're going to a more, I guess, westernized version of an ayahuasca ceremony? What sort of things would be really helpful for someone to know before going into it, just checking that it's the right one for them? I've never done it, so I've got absolutely I've heard of it. Lots of my friends have done it because we're in a similar world, but I've never done it, so I couldn't suggest anything. But I do have a friend whose son is going to I think he's going to go to a retreat where it's happening. What sorts of things should people look out for or be aware of?
Yeah. So I think a great place to start is to communicate with the healer or the curandera. If you can, not all of them speak English. A lot of them still speak the native tongues of Peru and Colombia, from where their tribes are from. But usually they have someone who can translate for them if you are traveling out of the country. If the medicine, one thing I think is incredible about what's happening now in the medicine world is people always ask me, how do I know when it's ready? And I'm like, well, the medicine finds you. The medicine says to your friend who has been in ceremony and is bringing a healer to town, invite this person. And I really believe that my journey to the medicine, just personally, it wasn't ever something I sought out. I actually didn't even know that it was something I desired to have in my life until it found me and was kind of just like knocking on the door really consistently. I had friends that were involved in the community, and people just telling me all of these experiences and breakthroughs that they were having. And so the medicine really did find me. So see if you can speak with the healer. Really, I feel like that gives you a sense of where their heart is at. And the question is not really about their experience. It's kind of about, because anybody that is serving the medicine, you would assume that they've gone through um, like the challenges that are required in order to be able to serve. I would, anyways. I know there are like parties now where people take it as a kind of recreational experience, but that's one of the things you should ask. Like, what is the container? Because the like container of protection, there are ikaros and ikanas. Ikanas are like songs sung for protection around the spirit of the participants. Because when you are like communing with intelligence as potent as ayahuasca, your defenses are basically released. You're in a state of surrender. And so I think the container is really important in terms of how many people are going to be there. Does the healer have the support from other healers that are also participating in the ceremony? Um, because depending on the size of the group, I don't, for me, if you're singing the traditional ikanas, they're extremely powerful, but there's a lot of energy being moved depending on how big the group is. So I look for more intimate gatherings personally.
What number?
If I'm doing a Shipibo ceremony, I like to be less than 20. And the Shipibo style ceremony is a dark space where you're having a really individual internal experience. And the healers come around and work on people individually. So one, this is like a great segue into what we're both really passionate about, which is firewalking. The NAC style ceremony is in a teepee. I've done it with more than 40 people. And the thing that is anchoring the energy of the group is the fire in the middle of the teepee. And so I feel very comfortable in that container because when you are in the presence and the energy of the fire combined with the medicine, anything that is kind of could like break up the security of the group is instantly burnt by the
Yeah.
energy of the fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when people are having what we call like big movements, like they're getting well, which is a term often used in the medicine community where they're purging in some way, either like crying, screaming, vomiting, a lot of other things, a lot of other types of purges. But if they're having a lot of movement, the moment the healer takes them and sits them in front of the fire, can witness the fire working with them in like a beautiful kind of reciprocal way, just like taking their pain and transmuting it.
I completely feel it.
Yeah.
Is this because I met Stefania as well? Oh,
Mhm.
love you too. You two run these kind of groups, session experiences for your community.
So we are starting with firewalking. A lot of the medicine healers that come to our community invite here that carry these different structures, like the NAC style and the Shipibo style, and they come to our community and so landing point for these types of experiences. But Stefania and I have recently been with you, Lisa, across the pond, and have learned to become facilitators for firewalking. And I feel like that is a very approachable step for the community at large to get some of this transformation on a regular basis.
Yeah.
because
Uh,
it's kind of this condensed relationship with the fire in terms of time, and it's not um a similar like energetic sacrifice that a all night medicine ceremony might be.
mm.
So yeah, we are just starting that. We actually have our first firewalk here on October 4th.
Wow. And so for you, is this for your women only, or who comes to your who's going to come to your Firewalk? Um, and who can come, and who would you like?
Yeah, so the first one is co-ed. It's open to everyone. We ask that if you have children who are younger than the age of 7, that they stay home, just because sometimes the heart can be pulled by the parents, and it's really important to maintain focus.
Yeah.
But really, I want to open this door to anybody that has this desire. I feel like fire is medicine in its own right. And if people are feeling called to have an experience of transformation, particularly in a group setting, because I think there are really powerful ways to transform your life that are can be done in private, like you take herbs or you go like get some body work done. But the gift I think of firewalking is the witnessing of the growth of a group. And so I'm really excited about that aspect of it, people finding kind of a different soul family
Yeah.
and
Mm.
just having the desire to grow the community strength in this way. So, yeah, I would say it's open to everyone.
I'm so excited for you that you and Stefania are going to be running these, because I think it's a great entryway into the even deeper work that I know the two of you can do with groups. And yeah, I'm so excited to see you two leading, because when I've been with you around the fire, and you know, you did a wonderful opening ceremony one night that was just, I don't know the words. I mean, I think the words in your song that you opened up with your voice had the word sun in it, at which point the sun appeared from nowhere and lit you up like a spotlight, then radiated out to the rest of us. It
Mhm,
was it was symbiotic with life and all that is possible, and
mhm,
just the feeling that ran through our bodies. I mean, I'm sure it happened for everybody, that ran through our bodies through your voice and your command of the sacred space of the, when I say command, I mean as in the protection of it. And
mhm.
as you did that, it just was like this was always your space or element. All right, Lexi. She's getting very excited about what I'm saying. It felt like a marriage, and
Mhm.
all of us were captivated by you in that expression. And then when I was teaching the fire tending evening, seeing how you worked and felt and intuited the fire, it just felt like, I don't know what you're doing on a course. Because it is one of those things, isn't it? If the fire's in you and you feel the pull, and like you said about the ayahuasca, the medicine calls you, and there's like an intuition that is a knowing and a belonging, not from this lifetime. What's your thoughts about the relationship with the fire, and where it comes from, and yeah, and what it does with you?
Oh, yeah, this kind of reminds me of the little comment you made about my son running through the flowers and saying like that is our idea of heaven, right?
Mm.
What we imagine heaven to be. I have a song where the lyrics say, if you ask me where heaven is, or no, I'm sorry, I can tell you where heaven is. It is absolutely everything we see. And I really feel that in my heart. I feel that once I tapped in to this kind of unseen world of different ways of communicating with the elements, with the animals, with the plants. Heaven became so clear to me that we are living it, and this is the opportunity to experience it. And I as far as the fire holds a really tender place in my heart. When I was first uh, participating in Native American church ceremonies, we would always have a sweat lodge. And I have, in and out of different moments of my life, really been challenged with depression. And I remember my teacher, Martine, at the time, and his wife at the time, Patty. They were such beautiful people. And traditionally, in the Lakota tradition, it's unusual for a woman to work the fire and work the sweat lodge stones. That's traditionally, historically, a very male role. And Martine knew that I was struggling and just confused about the direction of my life. And he said to me to work the stones for the lodge. And what that means is basically you tend the fire with the grandmother stones inside the fire, and you hold space for them in a very delicate way so they don't break, so that when they're passed into the lodge, some of them break anyways, but when they go into the lodge they can be heard because you pour water on them and they sing, they create their own voice of the stones. And that's like a whole level of intelligence that I'm not really privy to yet. Working with the stones and crystals, I don't really understand that world fully. I know that it's there. Yeah. And so that is where my relationship with the fire really started, is working the sweat lodge fire. And that was such a gift for me. It really helped me build, I love this word noom, that internal noom, to have the confidence to like pursue this path in my life of working with plant medicine and being in a sacred ritual space. Um, my flower farm is actually called Ritual Blooms because they are tended to very ritualistically. So
Hmm.
it's I realize now the irony of me saying I have left religion behind. I should say I have not forsaken ritual. I think it's such an important part of what it means to be human. It's the thing that literally connects us to all the generations that preceded us and connects us to all the different kingdoms in the world, like the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, the elemental kingdom. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, what a lovely journey.
Yeah.
Would you would you say that when you were struggling with bouts of depression, that the fire played a part in any kind of healing? In that, when you were tending the sweat lodge fire and the stones, did the fire have a role?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think first, on a surface level, it felt like I had a purpose within my community.
Oh,
It felt like I was capable of serving, even when I was feeling ashamed of like where I was emotionally, which felt like a really powerful learning for me. That even when I feel like I'm low or I'm unwell, which I think depression really is just a moment where the body needs deep rest. My husband has taught me that so gracefully. Like, we're so overstimulated and bombarded with like this consumption, like need to achieve, need to consume, need to create, that when the body is going through a depressive state, it's actually like the gift of the season of winter. But we don't ever have that gift because we ignore winter now. We
yeah,
just keep going. We don't ever have a time to recover from all of the output that is
yeah,
required. in the other seasons. So, absolutely, the fire helped me just recognize what was actually happening for me, get me more in sync with my intuition and my body, and really to help me move through it in a different way. It didn't break me out of it. It helped me accept the full spectrum of my human experience, which sometimes I feel like depression is prolonged because we fight it so hard. We're just like, this is
Yeah.
unusual.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we're fighting it tooth and nail. And then the body is just like slamming on it on harder because it's like, no, the point is to rest.
Yeah. It's just, I think there's something you said before about, it's just coming into my mind now about surrender.
Yes.
And because what I've noticed in my life, when my energy drops, when I'm tired, my physical energy drops, so does my mood with it.
Mm.
And I can say to a friend, "Oh, I've just felt a bit fed up today."
Mhm.
And does that sentence translate fed up? Because I know when I say, "Oh, I'm shattered," one of my American friends goes, "Really? Are you okay?" And in the UK, shattered means tired, but in America, it means like you're in a really bad way, doesn't it? Shattered.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so I can say to my friend, I'm a bit fed up, and she went, "All right, well, what can you do? What can you do to get out of it?" And I said, I don't know that I need to get out of it. I think I'm okay being with it. It's not
Yeah.
a permanent state. It's in transition with me. It's not who I am. It's just what I'm in at the moment. And I don't feel like, and I could be wrong in this, but I don't feel like I need to distract myself out of it and think that I'm creating a better feeling in place of it. I feel like I just want to be with it without even trying to find its root cause. So, what are your thoughts about that and how we've almost been conditioned in, come on, what can you do?
Yeah.
Let's
I
jolly you
love
up.
this question so much. So I feel like that snap out of it is a total fear reaction, guys, disguised as energy.
I'm letting that land. That is so
Mhm.
helpful. Carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like I gotta change it. It's like this what I was saying earlier of like, oh wow, I don't actually like hanging out with you when I was talking to myself. It's this, I am afraid of who I am truly. And so whenever there's a moment where I'm approaching communion with myself, I I just feel this fear of like, it's too much intimacy. And there are, I believe, reasons why we are intimacy immune. Do you like that phrase?
I do. What are they? What are the reasons?
um so one, I think, is that we have had this like severance with our role in the whole of the beauty of this place. And when I say this place, I mean the earth. So, because and the reason why I believe we did that was so that we could justify our extraction desires. Like, in order to feel like we were worthy of taking and kind of abusing this mother, really, that has nurtured and supported us, we had to separate from it to feel better about abusing it.
Hear you.
Yeah. So I think that was kind of the first kind of like cut in the ability for us to be intimate with our emotions. Because if we can't be intimate with the place we are from and intimate in the web of experience here, how could we ever be intimate with ourselves? Because we're essentially displaced. We are out of place. We have removed ourselves from the whole. And so I think that fear is, and it's really unfounded, honestly, because when you actually turn around and surrender, like we were talking about, we realized just this deep unconditional love of the mother, like any mother has for their child. And just kind of this welcoming back of like, oh, we've been waiting for you. Like, we can support the gifts you have come here to offer. I can nourish your desires and dreams. And so, yeah, where exactly was I going with this? I think that's the intimacy, immunity, but also back to your question about, like, do I identify with this? What
Snap
did you
out of
say
it.
exactly?
Yeah, like, what can you do to basically snap out of it and make yourself feel better? And so what are your thoughts around this moving out of the surrender and into like a more superficial level of being so that you're not in that feeling?
Yes, thank you for retracking that for me. I am totally in agreement with you. I don't think we should snap out of it. I think in those lowest moments is when we hear God's whisper. In those moments of silence and in those moments of like seeming darkness is,
Excuse me.
yeah,
So
bless
you're
you.
saying something.
I
Oh,
feel
we're
like
all
Jesus are like amens.
I agree. I don't think they're accidental. And then Lexi joined in with another amen. Um, yeah. So when you drop into that stillness that fatigue gives you, and then your mood drops with it, which I think my feeling of when my mood drops isn't that I have dark thoughts that I think other people might be thinking, I think, but more of I feel the absence of joy. And I think in the absence of joy, we think it's lowness. And
Right.
when I'm just backtracking it through the help of this conversation, and I think then I start to have conversations with, I'm going to say myself, oh, Lexi's been sat up here all that time panting because she's hot because I've got the radiator on in here instead of just getting on the ground and being cool. But how often do we do that? We stick something out in discomfort and then eventually allow ourselves the comfort. Um, and it's in when you drop into the stillness of I've got no energy, and the absence of joy, that I start to make some decisions about what I'm going to do so I can have the energy or the vitality for the life that I want. So
Yes.
there's like a little bit of course correction that happens that you will say is is the opportunity for God's whisper. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yeah. And I believe that those desires to course correct are God's whisper. Like the intelligence cannot be separated.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And um one of the things that I find so beautiful, those moments used to totally freak me out, especially when I was in them for a very long time.
Yeah.
But now I see them. I remember the last one I entered, which is what a lot of people would categorized as postpartum depression. I remember looking at my husband one day and I was like, something's brewing. I just don't know what it is yet. And my framing around it has changed because usually on the like ascent from the soil, there's like a seed in the darkness that is germinating. And coming from that ascent, I know that I need to be in that dark place and to find the ascension of the next thing.
Yeah. 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 I love that. But you've got to be with it and not label it as something that makes you afraid.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
that's what we do, don't we? We give something a label that then invokes fear, and then we want to react to the fear instead of
Mhm.
just being with what is.
Yes.
Somebody once gave me a saying years ago because I'm a pretty impatient person, and I've had to I've wanted to, but I had to become really and work really hard at being comfortable with stillness and
Mm.
calmness and peace. Because
Mhm.
in my childhood, we had a lot of drama because my mum wasn't very well. Um, and it meant that the energy in the house was always heightened. And then when she passed away, my stepmom was the same. Um, and that was always very heightened and, fearful as well. And so it got to where my life, if it wasn't vibrating like that way, and it was calm, it felt like the calm before the storm. So I would speed up the storm because
Huh?
of my nervous system was like, no, when it's quiet like this, it's bad news.
Uh-huh.
Something's brewing and it's not good. And so I had to really correct my nervous system over the years of to really embrace that peace and that stillness and that calmness, and for it to feel safe to be in.
Mm.
So then when I'm in it and somebody comes along and says, right, well, come on then, you've got to snap out of it. I just think this is my life's work to
Mhm.
be insistent on being in that stillness and in that peace, and for it to feel safe to be in, not just to be in it and tolerate it,
Yeah.
but to be in it and know that it's necessary and actually I feel safe in it. Does that make
Yeah,
sense? And so
absolutely.
that budding that you talk about under the soil is that if you can't rush that.
Yeah.
That has its own sweet time, and no watch and no somebody else's agenda is gonna make that happen faster. So, I just think that makes so much sense, and I feel like I could talk to you forever. So as we're wrapping up, which I don't want to do, what time is it over there for you right now?
It's a little bit after 7.
7 a.m.
Mhm.
and it is 12:06 in the UK PM. What would be a whisper from your heart in this moment? So I know you didn't know I was going to ask this or any of the questions we've asked apart from the first one. But what does your heart feel that it wants to whisper out to the listeners and the viewers? Oh,
My, initial response is to just encourage people to slow down, to come into your body and slow down, and just really take it all in. I've been so hit lately by just, like, what a gift this life is. I feel like this all started at Lendrick Lodge, where I kind of, like, recovered some of just the joy, by seeing everyone's offerings. So that's the first thing, but I do wanna add another one about what you were saying, about how, like, when your life is getting quiet and you're kind of entering that space, I feel like that is such a tender moment in life where we actually get the chance to discover who our true community is.
mm,
The people that show up in those moments are genuinely the people that love you. That's been part of my experience from that. And whenever I look back on that, I just am filled with gratitude. Stefania is one of those people for me where she always has this kind of vibe, sense of what's going on, and she'll just like randomly show up at my house.
yeah.
And so there is such beautiful opportunity in those moments where we feel like we want to shy away to not only notice the people that are coming into our home, but the messages that are coming through our dreams, the unusual moments walking through the city where you feel like somebody just called your name, like it could have been the tree that was right next to you. And so this is part of the slowing down and really just like opening up to all of the possibilities of really the magic of life, in my opinion.
Love that. I love that. I even feel like, as you're saying it, my nervous system down. I didn't feel it was heightened, but it felt even calmer. It was slightly heightened with Lexi sat next to me panting. There's something that I heard, I don't know who it was saying it. It was in a temple, and he was saying, what if this is heaven?
Mm-hmm.
What if this is it? How would you view it? How would you move through it? How would you be if you believed that this was heaven on earth?
I feel like that is the most important question of our species at this moment, because that is going to be the spark that moves us back to communion. Because if that is true, we have to start taking responsibility for the things that we do and the way that we're treating one another.
Completely. And that, I think we have to do that, full stop, because it's not working. It's not working not doing it. It's not working separating from
Yeah.
it. I think particularly in this country, I think we definitely need an episode 2. I think in this country, we're noticing the way that houses are being built have made us more remote and taken us away from the connection you get from community. So even the way that we build our environments needs to change. I think in episode 2, I'd like to know more about native Lakota tradition. I'd love to know more about that. But for now, yes.
Yeah, I would be happy to speak on my experience with the church. I am definitely not an expert, but I would love and be totally thrilled to have a follow-up conversation about all of this.
I
was
think
such
we've scraped the surface, and I want to, and I don't know the questions really to ask that's going to get us deeper, but I have this curiousness about, I still feel like there's more I want to know.
Yeah.
But so maybe you can guide me in. Yeah. Thank you so much for getting up so early to talk to us today.
Thank you.
We'll schedule off air a episode 2.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you so much, darling. All my love.
Bye.